Didn't I tell y'all? Did not tell y'all. I told y'all. I told y'all. Did not tell y'all. So, before we get into what all of this is about, I gotta say my little spiel. You can do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, comment. Basically, all the BS you do for another YouTuber, you can do it for me. I would highly appreciate it. And with that out the way, let's go ahead and talk about this. So, I told y'all in the video that I dropped 4 days ago that this stuff was gonna start happening. I said that. I told y'all that. And I'm not saying that nobody listened to me, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Nobody listened to me. I said this. I said it. I said it. I said it. In the ugly section of that video, I specifically said that what's gonna happen is that now that Microsoft done this, they done made two big purchases. Sony is gonna start buying up all these little smaller studios. Now, granted, I did not say Bungie, but I did say smaller studios that they could catch or buy for little to nothing. I did say that. I just mentioned Square Enix and Capcom and Ubisoft because like those are the first ones that came to mind. I really didn't think of Bungie, but it's the point of I said that. So in a sense, I kind of predicted that happening, but I just didn't say Bungie directly. And this is huge in a sense. And I'm going to go into why it isn't as big of a deal as a lot of people making it out to be. So why is this a big deal in a sense? Well, it's because it's Bungie. And if you don't know Bungie and what they've made, well, they made a little series called Halo. That is really Bungie's claim to fame is Halo. And then that is a Microsoft thing. And then, of course, when they stop working with Microsoft, they end up making Destiny, which is another huge thing. So that's why them acquiring Bungie is a huge deal, is because they're the ones who made Halo. They're the ones who made Destiny. So they've made some big, epic, spaced, not space, but space-like stories. You know, it's like, stories, being in space or whatever. I don't know why I can't get out what I'm trying to say, but you get what I'm trying to say. Space-themed stories. There we go. I don't know why I just didn't say that to begin with. But that's the reason why it's a big deal, is because that's two of the biggest franchises out there. Whether you love or hate Destiny, it's huge, right? Whether you love or hate Halo, it's huge, right? Hence why it's still going on to this day. And they just released Halo 5, not meaning Bungie, but, Microsoft and 343 Industries. So this is huge that they acquired Bungie, because now that Destiny license is under the Sony banner. But here's the reason why this is not as big of a power play as Activision and Microsoft. Because, like I said in my video, one of the reasons why that Activision Microsoft thing was such a big deal, and Microsoft acquiring Activision, is because when you're talking about from the video game point of view and how things have played out over the years, they have two of their biggest mascots, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Sony can't do nothing about that. Them acquiring Bungie is big because Bungie is one of the studios that made Xbox what it is. Once again, they made Halo. Halo was one of the first games, and really the first, I would say, Xbox exclusive, like, flagship titles. And to acquire that developer that helped make the Xbox what it is, that is a power play in a sense. But what hurts them is that Halo doesn't come with that. That's why I said it's not as big of a deal as a lot of people making it out to be, because at the end of the day, it would be different if when Sony bought them, the Halo license came with them, like when Microsoft bought Activision and the Spyro and Crash Bandicoot license came with them. But that's not what's happening. Xbox made pretty damn sure that they kept the license to and kept the rights to Halo. So it's not as big of a deal as it could be if Bungie had kept the Halo license and the Halo IP, but it is what it is. That's why I really meant to say was the IP, not license, but whatever. You get my point. They don't have it nonetheless. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's still a big deal because, once again, no matter if you love or hate Destiny, if you love or hate Bungie or Halo or whatever, they're still a big company. They still do make good games, and they still are a juggernaut in this space. But like I said, and I'm going to keep on repeating this because I have yet to be proven wrong when I make these predictions. Yes, I might not be as accurate as I could be, right? I may not be on point as I could be, as pinpoint accurate as some would like, right? Like, once again, I didn't just outright say, oh, well, they're going to acquire Bungie. But I did say that they're going to snatch up smaller studios like Square Enix, like Capcom and stuff like that, and Ubisoft, one that they can get for a couple million or a couple billion. I did say that, and this is exactly what just happened with Bungie. And that's my overall point that I'm leading into, is that I saw this on Twitter. I don't know who said it. I was just scrolling through, a thread of, somebody who made a tweet about them being bought out or whatever. And somebody said this, and it's true. The acquisition wars are starting now. Before it was the console wars, but that's over and done with. It's about the acquisition wars now. And that's exactly what's about to happen. Now, I did see this trending on Twitter, but when you actually read the headline, it made no fucking sense. So I don't believe that this is going to be a thing, but it still can happen because I've already said it once before and I wouldn't be surprised. It was trending on Twitter on whether or not Sony would end up buying Capcom. But then the weird thing about the trending thing is that it was made like Capcom is known for some of Nintendo's most iconic games. And I'm like, what? Like, that didn't make any sense. Like, not saying that Capcom has not made Nintendo games, but the most iconic Nintendo games, like when you think of iconic Capcom games, you think of arcade games and shit like that. I've never thought about Capcom and think of Nintendo in the same breath. Like, it's just never happened. So anything, I've always thought about PlayStation. Like that to me, that's synonymous. It's like you got Capcom and you got PlayStation. To me, that's more synonymous than fucking Nintendo out of all things. But nonetheless, people are already talking about that. And I'm telling you, that is going to happen. That is going to happen. Somewhere down the line, Capcom is going to be bought out by Sony. I'm going to make that prediction right now, as well as Square Enix. I don't know when, but I'm telling you it's going to happen because those studios are in the same realm as Bungie. They're smaller companies that they could probably buy for a couple billion, if that. I would think, I have a feeling that if they end up buying Square Enix, it's going to probably be a little bit more because of what Square Enix entails, and especially with them having Final Fantasy, because this is just me guessing, right? And I could be completely wrong, but I feel like I know a thing or two about these kind of things, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And that is, the way that I've always understood this stuff, or at least perceived it, is that it's all based on how much these companies make and the properties that they have, right? So that's one of the reasons why Bungie, they bought them for, was like almost, let's just say 4 billion, right? Let's just round it up to 4 billion. The reason why they bought Bungie for 4 billion is because all the money that they've made off Halo and what they've done with Halo, how critically acclaimed they became with Halo, and then to turn around and do that again with Destiny. Whether you like Destiny or not is not the point. The critically acclaims that, like, how critically acclaimed Destiny was, is what I'm trying to say, and all the money that they've made, all the money moves that they made, all the things that they've made with Destiny and Halo, that makes them worth that money. To me, it may not be. To you, it may not be. But when you look at it from a business point of view, probably how much money they've made over the years, the things they've done, that's what makes them worth that. And where I'm getting at with all of this is that I feel like if they were to purchase Square Enix, it would be for more because of stuff like Final Fantasy, right? Like, let's think about it. Final Fantasy 14 is one of the biggest MMOs of all time. It's gotten so big that I don't know if they're even selling it anymore, or like they've started selling it again. But there was a point, like probably 2 months ago, I think it was, where Final Fantasy 14 had got so big that they stopped selling it because the servers couldn't handle the influx of players trying to play the game. Let me repeat that again for you so you can understand how fucking crazy that is. The game was selling so well that they had to stop selling the game because the mass amount of people who were trying to log in and play it, they couldn't handle the amount of people who were trying to play. That makes your company valuable. Hella valuable on top of that. Because that means you're making money. You have a money-making game. And it's stuff like that that's going to make Square Enix huge, right? If they ever decide to purchase them, it's going to make them worth a lot. Final Fantasy VII is always their little trump card, right? They dangle some Final Fantasy stuff, people going fucking crazy. That's what's going to make them worth it. They have Tomb Raider. They have Deus Ex. They have Hitman. I don't think Hitman. No, never mind. They don't have Hitman no more. Hitman is his own thing. Hitman is no longer part of Square Enix. That's right. They're doing their own thing now. But nonetheless, they have Tomb Raider. They have all of that stuff. They have a lot of good properties, but the big flagship Final Fantasy is not going anywhere. And that's all they need, right? That's all they need. And that's what's going to make them way more than Bungie. I can tell you that right now. But I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. I'm putting it in the time frame that seems reasonable. I'm telling you, give it about a year or two, and you're gonna see this. You're gonna see either Square Enix or Capcom be ate up. I would not be surprised if Capcom gets eaten up first. I'm telling you, especially with the relationship that Capcom and Sony has, I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if they get ate up first. Especially because Capcom games really don't sell as good as they should in certain cases. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Street Fighter V took a long time to actually sell pretty good. It took quite a bit of time for Street Fighter V to sell good. A lot of really, and it really sucks. It's mainly the fighting game division that kind of hurts Capcom, which is what their bread and butter is really, which is kind of crazy. But it's like that side of Capcom is what kind of hurts them. But like even Resident Evil 8 is so good, but it didn't sell as good as they probably wanted it to sell. The last good high selling Resident Evil game was Resident Evil 6. I don't even think Resident Evil 7 sold that great. Like it's so good. Like, and that's one of my favorite Resident Evil games. Like after 4, easily it's 7. 7 was fucking amazing. But it's the point of Capcom games sell good, but they don't sell good, if that makes any sense. And so my point is that they can easily snatch up Capcom. I would be surprised if it goes for over $1 billion. I don't think they would. I mean, I think they would get in $1 billion territory, but I don't think it'd be like the same amount as Bungie. I think it'd probably be like the very lower, like barely going over $1 billion for Capcom. Watch what I tell you. I'm telling you, somewhere in that ballpark. Now, granted, there's a lot of aspects of Capcom I don't know about. The only thing I really know is like, their fighting game division and the Resident Evil aspect of them and, Monster Hunter and stuff like that. I know Capcom is a pretty broad company and they do a lot of things, but I'm fucking telling you, dude, I predicted it. Even though I didn't directly say Bungie, I said that they're going to start snatching up these smaller studios, and that was one. And Capcom and Square Enix are going to be next. I'm telling you, every time I predicted this shit, even though I haven't been precise, I've still been in the ballpark, and I've been right every single time. And I'm telling you, give it a year or two, and Capcom's going to be first, and Square Enix is going to be somewhere down the line. Maybe vice versa. I don't know. But I'm telling you, just based off my knowledge and what I have when it comes to Capcom's going to be first. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. Especially with Street Fighter V being the PlayStation exclusive. That was step one. And then Resident Evil 7 VR, that was step 2. I'm telling you, man. Fucking telling you. It's just crazy. 4 days after I made that video and I said those exact things, it ended up happening. Now, does this really hurt Xbox? No. Because like I said, Bungie no longer has the IP for Halo, so it doesn't really matter. They just have Destiny. And I like how it's a common theme with these acquisitions for each company to say, we're still going to stand by what we have in place, and we're going to make sure that our games stay multi-platform. But it's not going to fucking happen. And if it does, it's going to go right back to the 360 era. Like I said in my last video, it's going to go right back to the 360 era where it's going to be like, yeah, you want to play Destiny 3? Well, make sure you buy it on PlayStation because they get all the DLC first. They get it 6 months in advance. I'm telling you, it's going to go back to that. Xbox is going to do the same thing. Don't get me wrong. Xbox has been very consumer friendly, even down to the point to where you can fucking rent an Xbox and pay monthly on it and shit like that. Like, they've been very consumer friendly. So I'm not saying that they probably won't stick with that, but at the same time, they gonna do some underhanded shit. I'm telling you right now, they gonna do some underhanded shit. They gonna start doing that. Oh yeah, well if you want to play this game, you're gonna have to come over to Team Xbox. Like, because they've already said it. The next Elder Scrolls game is gonna be an Xbox exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. I remember reading that and watching a couple of videos where they've already pretty much confirmed that the next Elder Scrolls is gonna be an Xbox exclusive. Now Starfield is not, but yeah, because Starfield is still going to be coming out on everything, if I'm not mistaken. Starfield is still going to be a multi-plat. But I think they've already said that the next Elder Scrolls is going to be an Xbox exclusive. And I'm pretty sure if they decide to make another Fallout, that's going to be an Xbox exclusive as well. So you can get ready for that. So I can tell you that now. If and I'm just thinking, that's why I'm looking off into space. I'm just thinking, if whatever Bungie decides to come out with next, whether it be Destiny 3 or any other IP that they decide to make, I would not be surprised if it goes one or two routes. Either they let it be multi-platform, but PlayStation gets everything first, or it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive just to combat with Xbox. And the crazy thing about it is that I feel like this, and I'm going to throw this in here too, and this might be a little bit of a reach, but I'm just putting this stuff out here just based off all the knowledge that I have of all of this that's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if they start to, and I just fucking thought about that too. I know this is random, but I just really thought about it. And they have Nier Automata, talking about Square Enix. And they have Nier Automata. They have the Nier games. That literally just popped up in my head. That is Square Enix, if I'm not mistaken. So they have Nier as well, which is another huge franchise. So, yeah, they're going to be paying for them. But anyway, to kind of roll back, because it actually plays into what I was about to say. That's why I thought about Nier Automata. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony starts to buy companies and these little studios that they had these little deals with. So remember, like during the PS4 generation where Sony kept on getting all of these timed exclusives. So like you had Neo 1 and 2 that I think was like timed exclusives, like you had to wait 6 months or something. I don't remember Neo 2 being that way. It might have came out on PC like day one, but either way, I think Neo 2 was the same way. But either way, like Neo 1 and 2, if Neo 2 was it or not, but either way, that was a timed exclusive, right? Nier Automata is still a PlayStation exclusive. Like, I don't even know if that's on Xbox. Like, I think that's literally just a PlayStation and PC thing. If you don't have one of those, you can't play it. I could be wrong because I have it on PC, so I don't really give a fuck if it's on Xbox or anything else. But it's just the point of, like, you got games like that. And I know there's a few more. Those are just, like, the two that I can think of. Final Fantasy. Fuck. I just now thought about that. Final Fantasy, I don't even think that's on Xbox. No, it's not on Xbox. That's right. It's not even on Xbox. It came out on PlayStation. And even us PC people had to wait a whole year after it came out in order to play it. And it runs like ass on PC, by the way, which is fucking a shame. And they have not fixed it. But nonetheless, I think they're going to end up going that route. I think they're going to pick these companies that they've had these times exclusive with, that they had these relationship with, and most likely have had good relationship with. Why can't I talk? They've had good relationships with. There we go. Now I can actually speak. And they just gonna gobble them up. I would not be surprised if Team Ninja gets thrown in there, or not. Is it Team Ninja? Is that Team Ninja? No. Koei Tecmo. That's who made. No, that is Team Ninja. Team Ninja's on there. Who am I thinking about? I'm thinking of Ninja Theory. That's what I'm thinking about because they both have Ninja in the name. Ninja Theory is the one that made Sin was Hellblade, Sin was Sacrifice. What the fuck the name of that game is? That's Ninja Theory. Team Ninja is not Devil May Cry, fucking Ninja Gaiden and all of that shit. Yeah, there we go. See, I was smart. I knows things. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if they snatch up Koei Tecmo, Team Ninja, that made Neo. I wouldn't be surprised if they, I'm trying to think of other games that they've had time exclusives, like, because most of them, like Nier and Final Fantasy VII Remake, all of that Square Enix, so all of that's under that umbrella, so they'll have to just buy that whole thing, which I'm pretty sure they're going to end up doing, or in the plans to. It's gonna get rough. I can tell you that right now. It's gonna get real rough. I said it in the ugly section, and it's now all starting to come true. I'm telling you, y'all need to heed my warning. Y'all need to listen to what I'm saying. And that's all I got to say. This shit's crazy. But the acquisition wars have finally started. It started with Xbox buying all them smaller studios. Nobody really gave a shit. Everybody was like, oh, okay, cool. They finally got some exclusives. And Sony was probably the same way. They're just like, they bought a bunch of small studios and whatever. Who cares? Then they bought Bethesda. That made everybody sit up in their seat a little bit. Because that's how it started off, right? It started off like this. Everybody was just kind of, you know what I'm saying, leaning back. You can't really tell how far I'm leaning back, but you get my point, right? They were leaning back. Here, let me be a little bit more dramatic with it. Leaning back like this. Right, that's when they bought all the smaller studios. Then when they bought Bethesda, everybody's like, oh shit, hold on. Kind of got up, set upright in their seat. Everybody's like, okay. Okay. And then they bought Activision. And then everybody got up. Everybody got up. I'm not getting up. But you get my point. Everybody got up and was like, okay, this is a bit extreme. What the fuck do we got going on here? This is about to get real ugly. I'm just fucking with my PS3 controller because this is about to get ugly. That's all I got to say. This is about to get real ugly. It's about to make the pool small, like I said. And there's also been some talks about could PlayStation buy EA? And let me tell y'all something, that's not going to happen. Like I said in my last video, that's not going to happen. Why? Because how much does EA make off FIFA Ultimate Team? How much do they make off Madden? That's not happening. It's not happening. They make too much money. That's not happening. That's not happening in any way, shape, or form. Sony would probably go bankrupt trying to fucking buy EA. That's not happening. Square Enix, that can happen. Capcom, that can happen. Ubisoft, that can happen. Those are the only ones I can think of. Because all the other ones I know of, like NetherRealm and all of that, they're under Warner Brothers. So, yeah. The acquisition wars have happened. And I meant to say this is Methough episode 25, but I forgot. So, I'll try to shove that at the beginning somewhere. Just put up some text somewhere. But I just had to make this video. Shit's about to get real. Let's see who's next. Let's see who gets gobbled up in this acquisition war. Let's see who becomes part of the big overlords. And I like how Nintendo is just sitting over there minding their own fucking business. Like they just don't give a shit. But you know what, Nintendo? Just like when Xbox thought they didn't have to give a shit, you're going to eventually have to give a shit too. I know this is not really about Nintendo, but I'm just saying. Nintendo, eventually, you're going to have to start buying some shit. Because Mario and Zelda's not going to always be able to save you. Half of your fucking biggest franchise you don't even touch. We just got a new Metroid game, last year? And I'm not even a Metroid fan. But I know Metroid has been dormant for a long fucking time. We haven't had a new Star Fox game since the Wii U. I think the last time a F-Zero game may have happened was on the GameCube. If not, like a Nintendo DS or something. I don't know. Like, I don't keep up with Nintendo games like that. Those games are not going to save you. You're going to have to start playing, whether you like it or not. Don't get me wrong, the Switch is a good console. I just got one after all this time. I got the OLED model. Fucking phenomenal console. Like that, I think that is brilliant. It makes me want my Steam Deck even more. Like I fuck with the Nintendo Switch heavy. Got some good games on there. Playing No More Heroes 1 right now. Every bit as good as I remember, So Nintendo has good games. But you're going to have to start competing soon. Because Mario's not always going to save you. Zelda's not always going to save you. And your Nintendo fans, the little Nintendo drones, they're not going to always be able to save you. Eventually, you're going to have to... You're going to have to start playing ball. There's only so much that Plumber and his brother can do. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.